Hey, I'd like to talk to you today about a massive five shape. Five meaning the fifth chord in a key. In the key of C major, this would be 1, 4, F major being the fourth chord in the key of C major, and G major, instead of G major, we could play this big G11 shape, which sounds really, really pretty. 1, 4, and 5. Let me show you exactly how to play it, and then let's go into some of the theory behind it. So this is our thumb. We're going to wrap this up on top of the neck like Jimi Hendrix style. That thumb is going to slightly mute this fifth string. We get an X here. X meaning that we don't play the fifth string. Here's our third finger, our second finger, our first finger, and this is our fourth finger on top. All right, let's look at the chord construction. So the chord tones here, if we called this a G11, and there's a few different things that we could call it, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but if we called it a G11, this would be our root note, our dominant 7th, 9th, 11th, and another root note there. So we get this big G in the bass. We'll also call that our root note, F, A, C, and G. Okay, so we could call it a G11 and we could say that's our big 5 chord. I just want to tip you off. A lot of times on Nashville number charts or on other types of charts, this would be called a 4/5. Or it would be called in this key an F/G. So it sounds exactly the same. It's just a different name for the same chord. So let's hear it. 1, 4, 4/5. We could call it 5, we could call it a 5/11, we could also call it a 4/5. So let's see the chord construction, because that's really where the difference comes in. This is an inharmonic spelling, meaning it's the same shape with a different name. And the name is based on where our root note is. So the previous shape, our root note was over here on G. Now we're going to say that our root note is on F. And this shape here is just like a F major triad. This pinky finger on the 9th gives us like an nice F add 9 shape. And then we're going to take our thumb, we're going to wrap it around the neck or over on top of the neck and hit this big G. And if we called this an F add 9 over G, this G is the bass note, but it's not the root note. So it would be the 9th. And that's the difference between this shape or spelling it that way, and an 11. If we called it an 11, the G note, the bass note, is going to be a root. And if we called it an F/G, the bass note is going to be a 9. Same chord, you could think about it both ways. The reason why it's important to know is because you could see this chord written both ways, but it's the same chord. And you can tell by the sound. 1, 4. You could get that big ambiguous sound. Let's talk about that ambiguity. So if we call this a G11, it's ambiguous because associated to the root note, there's no third or fifth in this shape. See, we've got a dominant 7th and a 9th and an 11th, but we do not have a third of B, or we don't have a fifth of D. So it's a really cool, ambiguous sounding shape. Very, very good for your toolbox. All right, let's take a look in a different key. This is the key of G major. That's our 1, 4, and then that same big shape up the neck. Just wanted to show you, you can use this in any key. It doesn't have to be a G11 or it doesn't have to be an F/G. It could be, in this case, it's a C/D, which we could use as the 5th chord in the key of G. 1, 4, 4/5. We could also call it a 5. All right, everybody, thank you. This has been a guitar lesson from guitarthinker.com. There's also a quiz for this lesson where it goes through the chord construction and identification for these shapes. Hope to see you on the leaderboards.